そのテレビ番組のポケモンの昨日の視聴率は 16.5%。この番組を見た680人以上の子供が身体に異常を訴えたという夕べのポケモン騒動。
A single episode of Pokemon sent 685 viewers to the hospital. It aired once in December 1997 and has never been broadcast again. But the franchise didn't punish the Pokemon that caused the seizures. It punished a different one, benched it from the anime for 28 years, then made the guilty one the face of the entire franchise. By the end of this video, you'll know which one fired the shot and why the franchise couldn't afford to blame it.
.全部で150種類。通信ケーブルでモンスター取り替えっこ。スーパーゲームボーイならカラーで綺麗。
Pokemon Red and Pokemon Green launched on the Game Boy in February 1996. Sales were slow at first, until a magazine giveaway for a hidden character called Mew turned the games into a national obsession. By the time the anime premiered on TV Tokyo in April 1997, the games had already outgrown the handheld they shipped on, and the show was commissioned to carry the brand the rest of the way. Then Pikachu got the mascot job on the strength of its popularity with kids, not on any particular importance to the story the games were telling. By late 1997, the anime was pulling household ratings north of 17%, with 4.6 million homes tuning in every single week. That made its Tuesday night time slot some of the most valuable real estate on Japanese television, and someone had to fill it every 7 days. OLM, the animation studio behind the Pokemon anime, was producing a new episode every week on tight deadlines and tight budgets for a network that needed consistent output from a franchise already printing money. And episode 38 was titled Dennō Senshi Porygon, written by Junki Takagami, directed by Kiyotaka Itani. English speakers know it as Electric Soldier Porygon, which is a mistranslation that's stuck, because Dennō means computer, not electric. So even the name the episode is infamous under was never really its name. The episode sent Ash, Misty, Brock, and Pikachu inside a malfunctioning Pokémon transfer system guided through the digital world by a Pokémon called Porygon, a virtual creature designed to navigate cyberspace. And inside the system, an antivirus program mistakes the group for a threat and fires virtual missiles at them. So Pikachu uses Thunderbolt to destroy the incoming missiles, and the resulting explosion fills nearly the entire screen with rapid alternating flashes of red and blue. That effect has a name in anime, paka-paka. It is a standard method for creating visual intensity during action scenes, and the show's general director Kunihiko Yuyama later explained that they chose it for every cyberspace explosion because they wanted to give them an electrical feel. So nobody stumbled into it, somebody picked it, because it looked expensive and cost almost nothing. In practice though, that meant 12 flashes per second per color, for about 4 seconds straight, hitting the eyes of children sitting just 3 feet away from the screen. Then, on December 16, 1997 at 6:30 p.m., the episode aired across 37 stations to 4.6 million households.
Investigations underway in Japan into why more than 600 children suffered from convulsions and vomiting after watching a television cartoon program. It's thought that bright flashing lights in the cartoon, Pocket Monsters, were to blame.
At 6:51 that evening, the strobe sequence hits. Within minutes, emergency calls flooded dispatch lines across Japan. By the time the calls slowed down, 685 viewers had been taken to hospitals by ambulance, 375 of them female and 310 male. Over 90% of them, though, were school-aged children. 208 were admitted overnight, while 3 of them were unconscious on arrival. The oldest person brought in was 58 years old. No one died, but 2 patients stayed in hospital for more than 2 weeks, all from just 4 seconds of a children's cartoon on a Tuesday night. A 15-year-old girl in Nagoya later told reporters, "As I was watching blue and red lights flashing on the screen, I felt my body becoming tense. I do not remember what happened afterward." That same evening, NHK reported the story on the news, and in one of the most absurd details of the entire incident, some broadcasts replayed the actual footage on air, reportedly triggering further seizures in viewers watching the coverage. 12 hours earlier, Pokémon was one of the biggest shows on Japanese television. But the next morning, it was a public health crisis. TV Tokyo issued a public apology and pulled the show from its schedule. Nintendo stock dropped roughly 3%. Police questioned the production team, the Ministry of Health and Welfare launched a formal investigation, holiday episodes already in the pipeline were shelved, and the Tuesday night time slot went dark. In the weeks that followed, school surveys found roughly 12,000 children across Japan reporting milder symptoms such as headaches, dizziness, and nausea. Researchers later determined that most of these were likely mass psychogenic illness, rather than genuine photosensitive seizures, which is a real and important medical distinction, but it meant absolutely nothing to a parent in Osaka whose kid had a headache and a television. 685 people did not imagine the ambulance ride, but everyone else in the country had now been told on the evening news that a cartoon could put their child in one, and the hiatus lasted 4 months. When the anime returned in April 1998, it carried new on-screen advisories, urging viewers to watch in a well-lit room and sit back from the screen. At the same time, Japan's broadcasters adopted strict new guidelines. Red flashing capped at 3 per second, all flashing capped at 5, and no continuous strobing past 2 seconds. Those rules eventually shaped broadcast regulations around the world, which is a genuinely good outcome, and the only one anybody in this story can point to. Yet nobody was fired. General Director Kunihiko Yuyama kept his position, and would go on to lead the Pokémon anime for another 22 years. The system absorbed the damage, adopted some new paperwork, and moved on with the same people making the same decisions. So the show came back, the franchise recovered, and then it did something far beyond recovering. In September 1998, Pokémon launched in the United States without Episode 38. And over the next 28 years, the franchise became the highest-grossing media property in entertainment history, surpassing $150 billion in total revenue, more than Star Wars, more than Marvel, more than Mickey Mouse. Episode 38 was nowhere in that story. It has never been re-aired in Japan, in the United States, or anywhere else. And of the more than 1,300 episodes the main series has produced, it is the only one that was permanently erased, with no edited version ever released as a compromise. The footage itself, of course, has been sitting on YouTube and the Internet Archive for years, freely searchable with the original flashing sequence intact, and the same 12 flashes a second that put people in ambulances in 1997. So the erasure wasn't to protect anyone, it was to protect the brand. Meanwhile, every other problematic episode in the franchise's history got a second chance. Beauty and the Beach featured inappropriate content, so it was edited and aired in the United States in 2000. Several episodes were pulled over Jinx's original character design, which drew accusations of racial caricature. Yet Japan re-aired one of them in 2012 with the character recolored. The Legend of Dratini was skipped in the US because a character points a gun at Ash, but it aired in other regions anyway. Not all of those made it back, and some are still gone in the West, but every one of them was a regional decision. Argued market by market, softened somewhere, reversed by somebody. And Episode 38 is the only one that was taken off the air everywhere at once and never given a route back in any country. But the reason it is the exception has nothing to do with what was actually on the tape. It was Pikachu's Thunderbolt that caused the seizures, but Porygon is the one that paid for it, and the arithmetic behind why is not complicated. By December 1997, Pikachu was already the face of a merchandise empire, on the lunchboxes, the backpacks, the plush toys, the trading cards. So pulling Pikachu out of the anime would have meant removing the franchise's most recognizable asset from its primary marketing vehicle, at a cost nobody at TV Tokyo or Nintendo was ever going to sign off on. Meanwhile, Porygon had no ongoing storyline, no toy line, and no brand equity worth defending because no kid in Japan was asking for a Porygon plush, and quietly retiring it would cost the franchise nothing at all. So they benched the bystander whom no one was asking for, and kept the one that did the damage but was on every billboard they owned. Since that night, Porygon has had no meaningful role in the Pokémon anime. Across multiple series and generations and more than 1,300 episodes, it appeared in nothing beyond a handful of blink-and-miss background cameos, with no speaking role and no plot point in nearly 3 decades of weekly television. But the games tell a completely different story. Game Freak kept developing the line, releasing Porygon 2 in 1999 and Porygon Z in 2006, which leaves 3 Porygon-line Pokémon alive and evolving in the video games, while the anime behaves as though the original was never there. The official record tells the same story. The Japanese Pokemon.com episode guide does not list episode 38 at all. Other listings, including the updated season index, skip from 37 to 39 and leave the whole for anyone to see. Meanwhile, Hulu Japan's archive carries a single line where the episode should be, not available in accordance to our company intentions. The closest the franchise has come to saying Porygon wasn't responsible was in September 2020, and it lasted less than a day. The official Pokemon account was posting Pokemon in Pokedex order. When it reached Porygon, it wrote 404, Porygon not found, and then 4 words. Porygon did nothing wrong. The 404 post was never taken down, but the line that followed it was deleted within hours. So the fanbase finally got to watch the company agree with them and then watch it disappear right after. The franchise found the production capacity for over 1,300 episodes of a show built to sell toys, yet never once found a single episode to clear the name of the Pokemon that was never guilty. 4 seconds of a cheap animation effect, and Porygon has been paying for it for 28 years. While the Pokemon that actually fired the shot became the most recognizable fictional character on the planet, plastered across parade floats and FIFA World Cup campaigns and a franchise worth over $150 billion. Episode 38 of Pokémon sent 685 viewers to the hospital because nobody in the production chain stopped a cheap animation shortcut from running 4 seconds too long. The episode was erased, yet the wrong character took the fall. And the franchise that let all of it happen went on to become the biggest entertainment property on Earth without ever saying out loud, on the record, which Pokémon actually fired the shot. But Pokémon was not the last anime pulled off the air for something it did to the people watching it. And that's a story for next time.